All right, welcome back.
Hello, welcome.
Welcome back. Welcome to another episode of the Guys Telling Stories podcast. I'm Rich Douglas.
I'm Bill Easton.
And I just wanted to start off by saying thanks to all the fans and the listeners. Wow, Bill, we got a ton of likes, shares, and we have an amazing guest today, Phin and Sara DeMink from Southern Tier Brewing Company. But
yes, we do.
Yeah, before we get into that, guys, just thanks so much for sharing our first episode of Season 2.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who mentioned and commented and were amazed that we got to talk to Tucker Max.
Yeah, a lot of good feedback. So if you haven't listened, please check out that episode. But you know what, Bill? A few people are asking me how to subscribe to the podcast. Subscribing really helps us out because it lets you get all the episodes sent directly to your phone, your listening device. So, I mean, to put it simply, just head to our website, guystellingstories.com. We've got a little button there. It says for iPhones, and then a little button there that says for Android. Now, if you're adventurous, you could type in guystellingstories.com/iTunes, and that'll take you right to the place you got to subscribe if you got an iPhone. If you got an Android phone, it's guystellingstories.com/Android.
Why be adventurous? Just go to the website.
Yeah, just go to the website. It's much easier.
It's easier.
Yeah.
Also, we had a couple clicks on the Amazon link. I want to thank you guys for going to our website first. Again, we have an Amazon link. It takes you right to Amazon. So if you're going to shop for something on Amazon, just go to guystellingstories.com first. Click on that link. It doesn't cost you anything. It basically just gives us a little bit of cut of what you purchase.
Yeah. So thanks for using that. That is very appreciated. And also our fan design contest for our next T-shirt. It's going to end next week, Bill. So we're going to announce the winner. So here's what you can do. If you haven't already, you can design a cool T-shirt. It can be a famous quote, a cool logo, some artwork, some drawings, incorporate the Guys Telling Stories, wording or logo as well. But we're going to pick a winner, and it's going to go on a T-shirt, and it'll be available
on Amazon.
On Amazon, everybody can buy it. So
that's pretty cool.
I'm
going to buy one.
Yes, you are. I know. It looks like you just bought another couple, didn't you?
Maybe.
Did you put them on strangers again?
Nope. No, I got yelled at.
Oh well, keep it up, Bill. Keep it up. All right. So that is going to end next week. It's going to be tough to pick a winner, but I'm excited about that. Also excited about, Bill, it's our first road trip of the season.
Road trip.
Yeah, that is right. Road trip. Bill's pumped. Yeah, it is a beautiful day outside.
It's my favorite place.
Our producer, Sean, is already on the road. He's going to set up some equipment, so we got to get going, Bill. But before we head out, each week we're looking to do a new segment called Try at Home.
Try at Home.
We're going to feature cool products that help make life interesting and fun.
I have the first one.
Go for it, Bill.
You ready? As many of our listeners know, I own a little business. It's called Drone Buffalo, and one of the drones that we own is called a DJI Phantom 2 Plus quadcopter. I bought it in Las Vegas when I was there, and realized very quickly when I got home that I probably should have went to Amazon to purchase it.
How come?
Because it's a lot cheaper.
What do these drones do? Because I got one for Christmas. It was like this little thing. It crashed into the wall. I never used it again. What are you talking about?
We use it for some aerial photography, weddings, parties. Basically, some real estate companies have hired us, and we take some great pictures of our own properties and have a good time with it. It's actually a lot of fun to use. So we'll put that up on our website at the Try at Home segment. We'll put up the DJI Phantom 3.
Well, all these products are available on our website at guystellingstories.com under the Try at Home tab. Well, here's what I got. I got these glasses that are proper glassware for beer. They're called Spikey Glow glasses. It's scientifically designed to improve the flavor and the aroma of beer. So you and I were at a brewery. Somebody broke one of these out for a nice IPA, and I was really skeptical at first. But they work. They make the beer taste better. It smells better. And what we'll do is we'll post a cool video on our website of somebody using one, so you can get the kind of the behind-the-scenes look at the science behind it. These are so cool. So there's this kit that has one for IPA, one for stout, and we'll put that kit on our website under the Try at Home tab.
Sounds good.
All right. You ready to take a road trip?
Road trip.
All right, our guests he's very excited. Our guests for today are Phin and Sara DeMink, the founders of Southern Tier Brewing Company. Mm-hmm. Bill, they invited us to head on down to the brewery. We're going to do this live.
Yes.
We're going to record on their patio.
Awesome.
I'm hoping to dive deep into the business of beer and find out how back in 2003, when this husband and wife had this idea to start a brewery, how 13 years later, they're one of the top breweries in all of the United States.
That's cool.
It is really cool. Yeah, so Sean's already on the road. Sean, we're on the way.
We'll pass him.
All right, let's go talk to Sara and Phin. All right, guys, welcome to another amazing episode of the Guys Telling Stories podcast. I'm Rich Douglas.
I'm Bill Easton.
And Bill, you look very excited
Rich,
today.
we're outdoors for the first time.
This is our first episode
First recording
outside.
outdoors.
Yeah, we have some amazing guests. We are down here at the Southern Tier Brewing Company, and we are sitting down with Sara and Phin DeMink. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, how you guys doing today? The weather's beautiful.
Oh, it's gorgeous. This is our favorite place to be, is out on our patio.
If the sun's shining, people are drinking beer.
Absolutely. Well, guys, before we get too far into it, where can they follow you online or, follow your social media?
We have a Facebook page, so if you just look up southerntierbrewing.com, you'll find it. Our website is southerntierbrewing.com.
Okay.
And we also have a mobile site, stbc.beer. So those are probably the best places to look.
All right. Well, maybe you guys could kind of get into a little bit about how you got into the business of beer. I mean, you two are president and what would you call yourself, CEO of the company? Or
No, I'm not the CEO. I'm founder, president, owner / janitor /
Yes, that comes with
you guys do
that
it
comes
all.
with ownership.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe just start at the beginning. How'd you two meet before there was this whole brewing company?
I first started, I was passionate about craft beer at a very young age. I just, I started homebrewing it young at the age of 16. My parents' rule was as long as it was made in the house and drank in the house, then they were okay with it. And in those days, there was pretty much, crap beer was, pretty much all you could get.
Right.
But kind of what got me into homebrewing at first is my mother got a treadmill for Christmas one year, and I was always pretty mechanical, and she said, would you put this together for me? And I said, well, I won't do it for free, being the nice son. And she said, well, name your price. So I said, well, I was just at the beer store. She was buying some beer, and there was a homebrew kit. And I said, well, if you go and buy me that homebrew kit that we just saw at D's, I'll do it for you. So that's what kind of got me into homebrewing. That was my first homebrew kit.
What was the first batch you make? I'm sure everyone remembers their first batch. Do you remember what style it was? Or?
Yeah, the first batch of beer I ever made was a cinnamon brown ale.
Nice.
And it exploded in my closet.
So you never got to taste it?
Maybe.
No, I mean there were a couple bottles that didn't
Sure.
explode. It wasn't really tasty. So
Make the room smell nice.
Yeah.
quickly figured out that sanitation in brewing was very important.
Yeah, lesson learned. So how about you, Sara? Were you into brewing?
I was not in the brewing business.
Okay.
No. My brother-in-law, who actually owns Ellicottville Brewing Company, started his brewery in 1995, and I was there helping him do that. My father actually was one of the partners with him, and that is how Phin came into our lives. Peter was looking for a brewer to run this brew pub in Ellicottville, and went out to California for a brew class and met Phin. So brought him back, and that's where I met him.
I was going to school in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and wasn't super excited about my career path. And read in a brewing magazine that you could go and take a course out at UC Davis and get a kind of quasi degree in brewing science. So I said, hey, that sounds great. Network, maybe score a job as a professional brewer. So I went out to California, and that's where I met Peter, who Sara was just speaking about. And we hit it off. We were friends immediately, and he went back to New York to start his brewery, and then called me and said, would you mind helping me do Ellicottville Brewing Company? So in 1994, I moved out to Ellicottville and only planned on staying for maybe a year and helping them start the brewery up. And 4 years later, I was still brewing there, and that's where I met Sara. So that was kind of my first attempt at professional brewing.
Okay.
So was it awkward dating the daughter?
of the owner?
In the beginning, it was a little, we were a little quiet, and it was a little awkward. But as time went on, it worked itself out. So.
Sure.
And I had a culinary degree. I went to Pennsylvania Institute in Pittsburgh, and so I was running the kitchen side, and he was running the brew house, and so we were working together every day, and just worked out. But then he left and pursued his dream in beer at Siebel in Chicago. So I stayed back and ran the restaurant still.
Cool.
So your education in beer wasn't done. You had this experience brewing at Ellicottville, and then it was time for more life experience or more education, or?
Yeah, I had a great time in Ellicottville, and I think that Ellicottville Brewing Company was one of the first breweries that brought really hoppy beer to the East. So our Two Brothers Pale Ale, was kind of, I think at the time, earth-shattering. In the mid-'90s, nobody was brewing real aggressive beer like that. It was just like amber and brown and blonde, kind of the uninteresting styles in craft. But yeah, I really wanted to be more of a production brewery and not just kind of the brew pub environment, which was great fun. So I went back to school at Siebel Institute of Technology in Skokie, Illinois, and did more of a professional program built more around production brewing. And from there, I landed a job at the Goose Island Beer Company in Chicago.
Did you have an awesome mentor, or was there a guy that just opened your eyes to new brewing techniques? Or
yeah, when I was at Goose Island, it wasn't owned by Anheuser-Busch at the time, or by ABI. So it was owned by John Hall and his son Greg, who was the brewmaster. So I got to spend almost 5 years working with them. John Hall particularly was a great mentor of mine, and just really learning what it takes to do production brewing. They did have a brew pub, which was very successful, but I was just based out of the production brewery on Fulton Street, kind of in the ghetto of Chicago by the United Center. But it was great fun. I mean, it was a lot more engaging. It's technical. It's exciting. I've just always liked, nuts and bolts and gears, so packaging lines and keg machines and stuff like that. I thought was just so interesting. At that time, we brewed a ton of Honkers Ale. That was like the flagship. You don't really see it that much anymore. It's mainly IPA. But it was one of the first, pioneering craft breweries, and in the great city of Chicago. It was awesome time that I spent there.
We weren't married, no kids.
Yeah,
life was good.
Did you go out, Sarah? Did you go out to visit?
I actually moved out there a year after he was part of the brewery, because he had a lot of the beginning shifts, which are night shifts. He worked a lot of night shifts at Goose when he first started.
Yeah.
And then climbed up the ladder and ended up being head brewer of the whole facility.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I just took whatever job I could to get in the door. So it was graveyard shift cellar. So it was nights and weekends. And every time there was an opening, I just kind of took it and just kept climbing my way up through the ranks, and then eventually ended up running the whole facility. So it was exciting. I got to experience, all the different departments, hands-on, not just from a managerial sense. So it was just an invaluable experience.
Yeah.
So this beer that everybody stands in line over, that you created it, right? Bourbon County.
No, I can't take credit for that, but I have brewed a lot of it.
Yeah. Were they? I mean, that's aged in bourbon barrels for people who aren't familiar with it.
Yeah, it was. One of the first beers that was aged in spirit barrels. So Goose is known for a lot of really revolutionary things that have kind of built subcategories around some of the innovations. So really cool brewery to be a part of.
Nice.
And it was for how many years? 3 years? 4 years?
A little over 4 years. Yeah, we were there. And then in 2002, we decided to, we started thinking about a family and didn't really think that Chicago was the spot. And I had been doing it for other people long enough, and we decided that we wanted to, make a go on our own. So in 2003, Sarah's dad, Skip, selfisly lured us back to the area.
There you go.
Did you blackmail him like you did Mom with the treadmill?
No, it was the other way around.
I think he blackmailed us.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the other way around. So he, he helped us secure funding to start Southern Tier Brewing Company, and he was one of our partners early on. So it was Sarah, myself, and her father
Great.
Back in 2003, we actually bought 2 breweries that had gone out of business and been foreclosed, but seized by the banks. So one was in Ohio and one was in Massachusetts. So I had found out about them, one in particular from one of my friends, and this was really before we had formalized opening Southern Tier. So I decided to go out to Massachusetts. We didn't have any money then, so I drove out, camped along the way. You came with me, right?
Yes, I was pregnant with our first child, so there was a lot going on in our lives.
Yes.
So we went out to Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and got a tour from the banker. The landlord tried to convince us that we should just move back and open up there.
Yeah, of course.
So, anyways, we left, came back, and we decided to put a really, really low ball entirety bid on the whole facility. And the banker kind of scoffed at it and said, well, we're going to see the auction through. I said, fine, no problem. And maybe about a week later, he called back and he said, well, your entirety bid took the whole auction. So we were like, oh, geez, we need a building. We need to actually do this now.
You just bought a brewery.
Yeah, we just bought a brewery.
With everything, brooms, computers. It was the whole setup.
So what was the timeline like? You have the baby on the way. You own the brewery. You got to move the equipment. You got to find a place. Like, was that like a crazy 3 months, 6 months?
It was crazy. We didn't have a place to live, so we lived with my parents.
We have a brewery.
We had a brewery.
Yeah.
I think on the first day that Phin actually brewed a beer, our son was born. So things didn't really go as planned.
Right. The idea of it is sort of
we
perfect.
packed a lot into 1 year.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, in 2003, we brewed our first batch of beer. I put a crew of 3 guys together. We went and tore the breweries apart, hauled them back, reassembled them. Right here, not far from where we're talking right now. We actually still have that location. We built a distillery over there now, so now we're doing distilled spirits, which is in the original location of the brewery. So the first brewery was 10,000 square feet, and it was two breweries that we had torn apart and hauled back to Lakewood, New York, and reassembled. Sarah's brother Rob actually helped for one summer after he graduated from UVM. So it was it was a lot of fun.
So I asked before with the homebrew, but what was the first beer you brewed on the new equipment, day the baby's born?
Well, there was a lot of raw material that was, because literally when that brewery was seized by the bank, they just came in and locked the doors. Mm-hmm. So there was beer, there were hops, there was all kinds of stuff. We actually traded some. We were close to the Berkshire Brewing Company in the Berkshires. Mm-hmm. So I called them one day, and we were on a shoestring budget, and I said, hey, I got a bunch of old, I don't know if it was old, it was still good. I said I had a bunch of old malt and hops from when they closed this place down. Would you guys be interested, and would you trade for gift certificates, so while we're ripping this thing out, we can eat at your restaurant and drink beer? And they were like, heck yeah, that's a great idea. But so they didn't use all of it. Some of it we hauled back and used for our first test brew, which was a Vienna lager that we never launched.
Sure.
Yeah, but it was pretty good. We had it on tap for quite some time. The first production brew that we ever did that was packaged was a beer called Mild Ale. So when we started out with IPA, Mild Ale, Pilsner, and Porter. Mild Ale and Pilsner were kind of the brands that we really thought would become our flagships. Lo and behold, it ended up being IPA. And, to this day, IPA and IPAs are king of craft. So we were, you hear about all these West Coast guys talk like they want to take credit for IPA.
Like they started it.
Guys that they opened up in 2006, and they're like, oh, we're like kings of IPA. Lagunitas, I can give them a little credit. They were opened up around the same time that we were, but I mean, we've been brewing IPA in the East Coast since 2003.
Yeah, I don't know. Like some of these IPAs, and maybe you guys can speak to this a little bit. They seem to, I don't know if it's true, expire. Some people go, I have to drink it in the first 30 days or it doesn't taste the same. Is there any truth to that?
Hoppy beer is better fresh.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Maltier, higher alcohol beers age better. Mm-hmm. I like to drink all my beer fresh.
They don't age well in my house.
Yeah. beer never ages in my house.
Yeah.
But there is some truth that, IPAs, I wouldn't say that they age out, but they're, they're best their aromatic properties are best when they're drank fresh. That's when you're really going to taste the hops.
Yeah.
But 3 or 4 months, 1 month, you're really, I mean, that's quick.
I'm so excited to try something new. I wouldn't want to be disappointed because it's 6 weeks old. And
well, a lot of it has to do with the brewery you buy it from too.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you have a lot of these smaller breweries that they haven't been around as long as Southern Tier has. They haven't invested the type of money that we have in our equipment. They might just have limited resources. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but
right.
We've got millions of dollars invested in quality behind Southern Tier. So I would say that our IPA is going to hold up, a lot longer than some of these smaller guys that have these kind of lower budget packaging lines that aren't as sophisticated and aren't as quality engineered as the one that we have. So a lot of it has to do with the brewery that you're buying it from when you start talking in terms of shelf life and freshness.
Sure.
So this whole property that we're sitting on, I'm sorry, I keep looking up and just looking around at everything. The distillery is on this property as well?
Yeah, the brewery sits on 160 acres.
Okay.
So we have a pretty big chunk of land. There's 3 buildings now. We have the main production building, we have a logistics building, and then we also have the distillery. So the brewery itself is right around 200,000 square feet, and the distillery is about 10,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the brewery has a full tasting room. We sell food, great food, everything. All the food is handcrafted just like our beer is. And then the distillery is going to have a tasting room that's going to operate too. It's going to be open the second week of July.
Oh, great.
It's like a campus.
Yeah.
We're trying to build a
is.
little campus.
Well, let me know when you put dorms in.
Everyone keeps asking.
Hotels have come up in conversation before.
Yeah.
We've been here before on an overnight, and we stayed at a little motel down the hill. And you stayed, didn't they have a special room that you stayed in?
Yeah, but it was, I'm trying to think, it was a throwback. Oh, it was...
I don't know, but I'll never remember the name of it.
Decked out in like 50s gear, and it was really cool.
We walked.
It was like
It's not far from
pristinely
here.
clean and everything, but it just was like, whoa, it's like walking
6
into a time
rooms.
warp.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's what we lack. We don't have any overnight accommodations in this little local area.
Yeah.
So.
It was a cool place. It was like you said, interesting. It was.
We had some fun. There was an outdoor gazebo, and we had some amazing beers here. And then it was around the time of my birthday. It wasn't exactly my birthday, but I really thought it'd be cool to ride in the back of a pickup truck.
Oh my God, that's right.
And I don't know why I got that idea. I just saw some pickup trucks, so we made some friends with some people who had some kids who were running around on the stage over there, and we said, "Hey, do you mind just dropping us off?" He's like, "No problem. Could we ride in the back of your pickup truck?" Now I don't know if I needed a helmet or a seatbelt.
We needed a ride up the hill. We didn't need a ride down.
Yeah.
You're still here, so it worked out.
Yeah, it all worked out
for you.
It
That's
all
a
worked
good memory.
out fine. Oh, it was fun. Yeah, it was fun. We'll have to do that again. But
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep it going then. So, a lot of these places that are just starting out, a lot of our stories sort of have that inspirational tone to it because they could be musicians trying to record the first record. They could be people starting a brewery. After the first couple of years, did you guys find there was like a specific challenge or obstacle to overcome?
Well, in the beginning, it was all about capital.
Yeah.
It's obviously very expensive to start a new business and put a sales team together, and we were really learning. I mean, Phin knew a lot about beer, but the other end of it, sales, was a mystery to us. So in the beginning, it definitely was capital. We didn't have a lot of people working for us. We were both working long hours. Like you said, we were starting a family. So that, I think, was the biggest stressor, trying to build the brand.
Because do you operate on a budget that essentially is, for example, you're not paying yourself or you aren't worried about a profit to begin with, you're worried about building the business, building the brand? Is that sort of how it works in the beginning?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I don't think we saw a paycheck for the first 4 years.
Wow, yeah.
I mean, it was a business that we built more about something we love to do. That we weren't really looking at like how much money can this generate for us in 5 years or 7 years. It was more just about, we were more like the starving artists. Like we just really, really love craft beer, and we really think that there's merit to it. And if we love it so much, there's got to be other people that love it. So one of the hardest things for me, because I was actually in charge of the sales. I convinced a friend of mine, Matt, from Phin and Matt's, who worked with me at Goose Island. He was kind of an early day sweat equity partner. He ended up moving back to Chicago. He's doing great there. But he was in charge of the production, and I was the sales guy. So I was out on the road all the time. And I remember going to accounts with IPA and, people tasting it and saying, "Oh, this tastes like bark. What is this?"
Wow.
I'm like, "It's not bark, it's hops." They'd never tasted hops before. And then you'd run into the occasional old timer that's like, "Wow, this reminds me of Ballantine." Ballantine kind of, which it wasn't a real hoppy beer, but it was a bitter beer. So you'd get these old timers that like one of the classic, one of our early draft accounts and still a really good customer was Moser's in Hamburg.
Yeah,
I remember calling on them.
Great wings.
Yeah, they do have great wings, and what scored me the account was this old timer who drank there every day. Said it reminded him of Ballantine IPA. And he said, "Oh yeah, if you put this on tap, I'll drink it." And he would buy his little pitcher of beer, and he'd sit there, nurse his little pitcher into his
awesome.
10-ounce glass. And sure enough, as soon as IPA came in, he was converted, and he probably was our best spokesman because he sat at that bar.
That word of mouth is valuable.
Yeah, and that's all it was in the beginning. It was just getting out there, talking to people, making friends. And then finally I started, calling on like Wegmans, and Wegmans was a great partner early on. We were one of the first local craft beers to get into Wegmans. And in the early days, craft brands were, people said you build them on premise, which means you go to, you build them at bars and restaurants.
Yeah.
And then if you build the on premise, the off premise comes. Well, after 2 years of knocking on doors and driving all across Western New York, setting up wholesalers, trying to, build an account one at a time, I was like, my God, we're going to go broke. This is going to take forever. So one of the things that we had done early on is we decided that we were going to bottle beer right out of the gates, because the model was kind of like open up a craft brewery, only sell draft, and then once you build up enough draft business, then you buy a bottle line. And we kind of just right out of the gate started packaging beer. So I said, I gotta get to these accounts, like bigger chain accounts. Mm-hmm. I need to get to Wegmans. I need to get to Tops. Consumer beverage, was always a great customer of ours. But even their craft category was maybe a tenth of what it is now. But we started with Buffalo Beverage, the Jablonskis. They're not around anymore, but they were huge in helping us build the brand in Buffalo. Consumers was a huge player in that. And then finally we started cracking into Wegmans and Tops and Quality Markets, and then our distribution overnight started to double, triple, quadruple. And right around that same time, drinkers, really started to turn on to craft. Like I would say right around 2006, 2007, the lights went on for the consumers, and they were all, but consumer products were moving in that direction. People wanted to know where their meat came from, their coffee came from, who was roasting it. The consumer was just really looking to educate themselves, and they wanted to know what they were consuming and where it came from. And so craft beer just folded right into that movement perfectly. And and then those are the, probably from 2007 to 2012, it was like for me the glory days of craft. I mean, it was just growth. Competition there wasn't a ton of it, and then probably around 2012, everybody and their brother said, "Oh, I think I want to open a brewery." Mm-hmm. And here we are with 4,500 of them now, 4,000. Yeah,
mm-hmm. That's amazing. That's so many.
When we first opened at that location, and I brought Phin here, people in this area thought Blue Moon was craft. And Phin says, "What are you doing? What are we doing here? We're opening a craft brewery here in this market."
Right.
And it was hard because we had to educate people at the same time as we're trying to sell the product.
But you knew that you wanted to get to the bottles and you wanted to do this. You basically acted older than you were, which is a good idea if you can pull it off. If because you had these bottles and you could take them places where everyone else that starts, like you said, didn't do that. So it's you kind of set your own goal. But this is where we're going to be anyway. Let's just do it now, and it worked out, which is great.
And I think the experience at Goose was immeasurable. I mean, John Hall taught Phin so much that he brought here that we were lucky to have that.
That's great.
And even the craft breweries that existed, I mean, the majority of them were brew pubs that just survived the shakeout of the early 90s, when craft kind of surfaced for a moment. the bubble bursted and there was a lot of bad beer out there, and the consumer kind of turned their back on it. So production breweries pretty much died. It turned into only pub, restaurants, and everybody said, you're going to open a production brewery. There's no money in that. You got to have food. You got to have you got to take advantage of the full retail dollar. You can't make any money in production brewing. And if you look, the tables have turned. If you look now, what people are opening, they're not opening restaurants. They're opening small production breweries.
Yes.
And then just really trying to fill out this real kind of regional footprint.
And now you have food.
And now we have food. Yeah. Yep.
Because it was fun in 2007. I mean, that, like Phin said, all of a sudden it was like we turned the corner and people were buying our beer and they were hearing about it, and that was really fun. But then 2008 came, and then we had to make the decision. We're bursting at the seams. Do we just stay where we're at, or do we build this facility that you're sitting at now?
Yeah, I think people would be interested in hearing about that. When do you finally decide that we need to expand what we're doing?
Yeah, we always kind of ate the elephant bite by bite. We never really over leveraged ourselves. So the first brewery and the 10,000 square feet, I think the most we produced out of that facility, I think we almost pushed right around 40,000 barrels out of a small 10,000 square foot facility.
Okay.
So we were kind of busting at the seams, and that's right around 2009 when we planned on opening. When we built the first building in our campus now, we moved up here and we did about 60,000 barrels. And I think that we've basically, since we started construction in 2009, we've always been under construction. So like right now we're building our wastewater plant. We handle our own wastewater and generate energy from our effluent. So there's always been a constant project ever since then. I think this year we're going to do about 130,000 barrels. So it's been quite the ride.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but it was always about a destination too. We always wanted to make sure that yes, it's a factory, but it's a showpiece too, and people are going to come and visit, and we want them to feel like this is almost our home. And I don't know if you walk through the factory, but we'll take you through afterwards.
Oh, that's great news. I'm excited.
Yeah. No, we haven't, but I can speak to, traveling and searching out some of these breweries. We found one, and I guess a little shout out. Where were we? It was Frenchtown Brewing in, what island were we
St. Thomas.
We were in St. Thomas.
Yeah.
And probably as small as you probably could do it, because they're above connected to a travel agency. On the second floor, you got to go down around a restaurant, down an alley. And
through a bookcase.
Through a bookcase. Literally, they had a hidden bookcase from the. So for those of you who haven't been here, definitely kind of put it on your bucket list or make it a plan, because this is beautiful. There's all these old architectural wooden beams. It's almost like an amphitheater style out back here on the patio, and we're looking at 5 or 6 different silos. I'm assuming those are fermenters right over there. And
if you come on Saturdays, you can sign up and take a tour. And it's not just like a little self-guided tour where they give you a beer and say, go walk down that hallway. You can actually, there's a guide that takes you through the actual production facility. So you walk right through the bottle line, you see the cellars, you walk right up through the brew house, and you finish in our upstairs tasting lounge, which we call the Shalander. And then every tour comes with a flight. So then you can sit and have a flight of beer. There's usually about 14 different to choose from. You can select the 4 that you want to taste. And we have highly educated Cicerone-trained bartenders that can describe and talk to you about the beer, and your tour guide can talk to you about the facility. So if you're in the area and you're looking for something to do on a Saturday afternoon, it's worth it.
Oh yeah,
cool.
And we always have live music on the stage, so it's a fun event.
I've been here a few times for Summerfest, and it's. I know you do have a bunch of other outdoor events too. They're all posted on your windows there. It is a great time. The band was great. It was a reggae band here the one year I was here.
Summerfest, you can do keg bowling too.
There was keg bowling. That's right. There was keg bowling.
Yeah.
Well, kind of bringing us up to like current events since 2012. We sort of mentioned. You said it was like the glory years, from let's say 2006 all the way through there. How have you guys approached sort of like the current state of craft beer, and I guess specifically any challenges that come to mind that you had to sort of tackle?
Competition. There's a lot of competition out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of brands out there. The retailers are kind of taking everything, because I think they're confused by it. They don't know what's going to be successful and what's not. So their theory is, let's just take everything. There's some new breweries that have opened up that are producing some really high quality beer that have maybe come from, Southern Tier or a Goose Island or, a Ballast Point or Lagunitas, that is making good beer and open their own thing up. And then there's a lot of guys that were hobbyists. So it's a mixed bag out there right now. I think there's a lot of bad beer out there. There's a lot of guys making beer that they're driven by how much they can sell a pint for and not how good it tastes. And then I think there's some guys doing some really cool stuff. And then I think there's some really great innovation out there now, as people thrive to have some sort of, differentiation between breweries. You're
trying to find a niche.
Yeah, trying to find their niche. There's some really cool stuff going on. So, I think there's a bubble here, and I think we're kind of, reaching the point where I think it's going to pop, because I'm not so sure that there's enough beer drinkers out there for all the brands that are coming on. The craft segment, from the standpoint of the consumer, isn't growing as fast as there are breweries opening and new brands coming onto the market. So, and then you got guys like Southern Tier that we've been doing this for 14 years, and we've got big sales forces and marketing dollars and deeper pockets, and we're gonna keep doing what we do. So it's going to be an interesting next few years in craft as the whole category kind of matures.
Can you tell us and our listeners about your affiliation with Pagula Sports?
Oh yeah, the One Buffalo beer you guys did.
Yeah, Buffalo definitely is the market that's nearest and dearest to our heart, along with Chautauqua County, where the brewery's located. So we've always wanted to kind of do something just for Buffalo. And especially as, we were the local brewery in Buffalo. I still say we are the local brewery in Buffalo. We've been there the longest. I would say that, we kind of paved the way for craft beer in the early days. So we wanted to make sure that, Buffalonians remembered us. And we thought, what better way than to team up with Pagula Sports, who's just doing amazing things for Buffalo sports. It's just they're the best thing that happened to Buffalo sports in years. So when we started building a relationship, and then the opportunity was presented to us to do a One Buffalo beer, it was a no-brainer. We jumped all over it. So it's been a good success. I think the beer is very approachable to even non-craft drinkers. So I think it's brought a lot of people into our category. And this year we have a can line, so we're gonna have One Buffalo 16-ounce cans.
That's
so
great.
We'll be able to sell in the venues, and instead of tailgating with bottles, you'll be able to tailgate with cans.
There you go.
They'll go for the pool fridge.
Yeah.
On the
pool
boat,
fridge is all
by the
cans.
pool,
So.
Yeah, there you go.
At the golf course.
So we have season tickets. Me and my brother share season tickets to the Sabres, but your bar is unfortunately on the 100 level, and our tickets are on the 300 level. So I would go down once a period and buy the 2X Stout. Halfway through the season, the bartender, I think his name's Marty, I walk in, he goes, "I got you something." And I was like, "What?" And he has a stack of giant cups. So now I can have 2X Stout double poured into this one cup, and I only to do the stairs once. I was so happy.
That is a beautiful bar.
Yeah, it is.
We've
If
been really
you've been to
happy
the
with
Sabres
that.
game, it looks like the brewery. It has the same style. It's not just a roll-up bar with a few taps. It's a legitimate. You can't sit at it, but it's a legitimate stand, and it looks like a bar. And they have bottles. The 2X Stout's what I drink when I'm there, so we call it 4X Stout because it's double
Love
cup.
it.
Yeah,
Love it.
In one giant cup.
The bar was actually done by the same guy who does all our timber work here. So he
That explains a lot.
Went up, measured, came back, cut it all, kind of constructed it, tore it all down, brought it up to Buffalo, and then
sometimes we've talked to wineries who, they're in their fourth or fifth generation of being family owned and operated. I know you mentioned starting a family earlier. When you first were starting the brewery, are the kids interested in the family business yet, or?
Well, I'll tell you what.
they're still pretty young.
Yeah,
When
are they?
the twins were in third grade, they went to school. They were doing career day. and they told the teacher they were going to be brewers, and all the kids in the class said, "What's that?"
True.
And I think
they're like, "That's not a real job."
I don't know. It's hard to say what they'll do. We like to think that it's exciting to do your own path, and that's what Phin and I did, and we hope that they choose that same idea and whatever it may be.
No, it's good advice. It seems like the passion and the drive sometimes is tough to transfer, especially maybe that third generation or that fourth generation, because you want to sort of venture out on your own path and try your own thing. Like you said before, Phin, like who knows what craft beer is going to look like in 5 years, let's say, compared to what it looks like today. So when the kids are finally old enough, they may not want to necessarily follow in the footsteps, but that maybe there's a whole new venture, Southern Tier, something else. We'll see.
Right,
yeah.
Right. And I think that's some of Phin and my best memories is starting this place and the struggles and the frustrations and the excitement and the achievement. So, we just hope that our kids will be able to do that same thing and find what they like.
Yeah. Well, we always like to ask, too, is there anything that's like currently exciting you right now in terms of the brewing business?
Well, the one exciting thing is in the fall, we're going to open our first brew pub. It'll be in Pittsburgh.
Nice.
So we're very excited about that. It'll be a full brewery and restaurant, and it's right across from the stadiums. So
Pittsburgh's going to be excited to get that news. Yeah.
Buffalo was our number one choice.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have a location all scouted out, but then we started running into some construction delays,
mm-hmm.
and we had a great opportunity in Pittsburgh. So I would say in the future, look for something a little closer to home in Buffalo.
Great.
Yeah, that's really exciting, too. I know there's a lot of expansion, in all these cities. I was listening to somebody talk about back in Pittsburgh, maybe even a few years ago, you couldn't even really get a six-pack of beer at a store on Sunday, let's say. You had to, buy a case or pay the price of the bar. So I think it's going to be pretty exciting for people to be down there. Why Pittsburgh, I guess, just in terms of what's the story behind picking that location in conjunction with where you guys are now?
Buffalo and Pittsburgh are our two largest markets.
Okay.
They're almost neck and neck. I mean, Buffalo is our home market, so we had, naturally looked to Buffalo first, but we just had a space in Pittsburgh that's just such an awesome opportunity. It's right next to PNC Park,
mm-hmm.
2 blocks away from Heinz Field. 10,000 square foot beer garden.
Wow.
So we didn't think that space was going to stay on the market for too long, so we jumped at it.
Great.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Pittsburgh this summer. It sounds like it'll be a little too early. You said fall?
Fall. You'll see it. You'll see the location. There's
on the way to West Virginia football.
There you go. Wait till the fall.
Stop in Pittsburgh.
There you go.
Stop on down. So definitely be on the lookout for that, too.
Yeah, we have cans, too. So we have not just one Buffalo in cans, but IPA, Tangier, 2X IPA. We've got a Pilsner coming out in cans, too. So we have some new products coming from Southern Tier. We've been dabbling in doing some sour, refreshing beer like Goza. So we have an Imperial Cherry Goza coming. Salted Caramel, which is the latest addition to the Blackwater,
nice,
is just coming out. We have a larger version of Tangier called 2X Tangier.
Okay.
That is just about to be released, so that'll be in market here pretty soon. And then, the opening of the distillery, we're pretty excited about that.
Cool. I'm excited for the Salted Caramel. That's coming home.
Oh, yeah? You're taking a little souvenir home?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, our photographer over here, Sean, he handed me a question, and he was, he's listening in on this. Do you think maybe in terms of maturity of craft beer, almost like the wine industry where, like the people that make it are kind of blue-collar workers, they understand, the science behind it all, but sometimes the people that drink it are, elite. You think there might be a segment of craft beer that sort of matures to elite craft beer? Is that in the cards?
I hope not. I mean, craft beer is, I brew it so everybody can enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's the beautiful thing about craft beer too, because you can get some pretty awesome, super high-end beer for, less than $15.
Mm-hmm.
A really super high-end bottle of wine, I mean, that could cost you upwards of 60, 80, who knows, further and beyond. So, when people compare high-end wine to craft beer, they're just completely different things. Beer is for the people. It's the people's choice. It's the people's drink. It has been for, over a decade, and I don't see it changing. And craft beer is a very affordable luxury, so I hope it never gets too snobby.
No, and I appreciate the honest answer, because from the business side of things, certain people I'm sure would be like, oh, I'd love it for a bottle of my beer to go for $44 because we barrel aged it in its 2012 version. But that's not everybody. It sounds like that's not you guys, and that's good.
There's some really high-end beers out there, and that's great. There's some guys that have done some really crazy stuff, and we do some really crazy stuff that's expensive. You start putting things in 30-year-old rum barrels, and you start pumpkin. You start doing stuff like that, and it's an expensive product. Yeah. But usually those really expensive products are extremely low volume. So we do it more for fun than we do for profit.
Cool. Gotcha. Yeah, cool. Well, looking ahead, did you guys want to touch on it? It's okay if not, whatever's going on with the Victory Brewing. I know that was only in the news a couple months back, and it seems like it's more of a like joining forces. I feel like that's the state of craft beer somewhat. How's the future look for you guys in terms of those kind of alliances?
I mean, we're not rushing into anything.
Yeah.
We're not out there actively seeking deals or anything like that. The partnership with Victory, was basically just we have a lot of the same opinions. We're very like-minded. Our breweries have similar cultures. Our brands are very highly regarded in the craft beer community, and we saw eye to eye on where we thought the industry was going, the state of it, and where we thought there'd be opportunity. As far as aligning sales forces, capacities, different business synergies. Just like now we're the 15th largest nationally.
Right.
So now when we go into our wholesalers and we tell that story, it's a little more compelling than saying, hey, we're 35.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when we have, deep resources into marketing, sales, and just these awesome legacy breweries, I mean, that resonates. Suddenly you're a lot more powerful, together you're more powerful than you are, apart.
Are you going to brew and distribute their label here?
I mean, if there's certain capacity needs that they have that we can relieve, or vice versa, we'll look at it. The goal is to let the breweries just operate independently. Let the unique culture at Victory exist and the unique culture at Southern Tier exist. And where there's opportunity, we'll go after it. But we didn't. There's no great hidden agenda here. We're just going to keep making the great beer that we always have, and if we can team up and be stronger together, we will be.
No, I appreciate you addressing that, because I'm sure with some of the beer culture, they're always wondering what's going on with like the latest, and it's better to hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
No, it's exciting. And for Phin and I, from starting with 3 of us to grow to, I think we're 127 employees now. I know Victory is close to 400. You really got to start thinking about, who do you have that's built these companies with us, and we've surrounded ourselves with some really great, talented people. And some of the people have been with us from close to the start. So it's good. It's all evolution, and we're all working together, and we feel like they're part of our family, and I know Victory feels the same. So it's a great partnership for us.
And then the family just got bigger.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
More mouths to feed.
One more. Well, when we kind of wrap this thing up, we always look ahead to sort of maybe some advice or final thoughts. Maybe it's to the brewers out there that are just kind of starting out. Any advice you'd give to somebody who, maybe is just taking that first step?
Yeah. Make good beer. Don't just jump into it because you see the brewery down the street's packed and you just want some of that action. Do it because you like craft beer and you want to make good beer. Because if you don't, you're just going to destroy the industry.
I'm not saying this because you guys are here. I'm saying it because it's true. We have at my house 2 Southern Tier taps pretty much all year round. Yeah, but we always do. And I'm serious about taking more home. So thank you for making good beer.
That's what makes it all so great. Phin and I, we never get tired of hearing people say, we love your beer, we found it here, or this is exciting.
The glasses, I have separate Warlock and pumpkin glasses. Oh, yeah, it's great.
Nice. Well, guys, thanks.
Those stories are what keep us going. we love to hear about.
I got more.
The best thing is when somebody smiles and you feel like you gave them something that they really enjoyed. That's the most rewarding thing about brewing beer.
Cool.
Yeah, I think we're wrapping this thing up. For everybody out there that's listening to this story, we mentioned it before. Whether you're familiar with the brewery or you're just hearing about them for the first time, where can they find you guys again? What's the website or the social media?
SouthernTierBrewing.com, stbc.beer, or you can just go on our Facebook page. We've got a Twitter account too.
Yeah. Or just show up. Just come to the brewery.
Yeah,
It's very inviting. Very friendly.
Put it on the list. I'm sure you guys have one of those beer locator things. You can kind of type in your address, see where you can find it.
Yes, that's on our webpage.
Yeah, yeah. So see how far the closest place is you can get your hands on some.
That's how I know when Warlock's out.
Oh, yeah?
Uh-huh.
Nice. Well, all right, guys. Well, as always, it's been another great episode of Guys Telling Stories. If you haven't already, subscribe to the show. And thanks for listening. I'm Rich Douglas.
I'm Bill Easton.
All right, until next time. All right. We're back from Southern Tier Brewing Company. Bill.
We got to go back. I left my pen there.
He's making that
We
up.
have to go back.
He's making
if
that
I'm
up.
allowed back.
It was a lot of fun. Wow.
We had a great time. We got to taste some new beers. We had a tour of the brewery. Sarah walked us around the entire brewery.
Oh, yeah.
We saw the keg. What do they call that? Filling? I'm sorry. I'm so excited. The keg filling, the bottle lines. The bottle lines are incredible. It's gorgeous. The brewery is absolutely gorgeous. And at one point, I asked her, I go, you ever, because we're standing right by these bottles that are like eye level going behind her, and I'm just watching them. I'm like, boy, I would just sit here and just pull bottles off. So I asked her, hey, have you ever just pull a bottle off?
What'd you say?
And she goes, like, and drink it? And I was like, yeah, you ever just pull it off and open it and drink it? And she turned around, grabbed 4 bottles, gave all of us a bottle. Of course, no one had an opener, so we couldn't open them right away. But it said right on there that it was just made
that day.
2 minutes ago.
Yeah, I'm holding mine in my hand right now. We'll post that picture for sure. So, Sarah, thanks for the amazing tour.
Yep.
Sarah and Finn, thanks for an amazing interview.
It was great.
You guys got to make it down there. A couple quick reminders. Our fan design contest for our next T-shirt, it ends next week, so send in those submissions. Keep them coming any way you'd like. And our short story special is also still available. We're going to post a new one every couple of weeks, and you can head to our website, guystellingstories.com, click on the Support the Show link, and if you like what you hear, there's more stories there. All right, Bill, can't wait till next week.
Yep. We got to go. We got to go back and get my pen.
Yeah. Remember to subscribe to the episode. You can head to our website, guystellingstories.com. I'm Rich Douglas.
I'm Bill Easton.
Until next time.